I was going to ask you if, because I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but how was our babysitter fell through? How was Jurassic Park 7 or whatever it is now?
Oh, you had to bring that one up. That's okay. I felt like I've had to tell this to a few people. This is weird because that trailer looked so good. The trailer looked really good. I thought Jurassic Park was going in a great new direction. You know, it reminded me of Chaos Continues, you know, the Super Nintendo game. And the core story of Jurassic Park 7, whatever you want to call it, I can't remember what it's called.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was gonna say I have a Dr. Pepper somewhere that has it on there, but I don't have it with me. But the thing is the core story of like, hey, there's a group of mercenaries and a scientist and a businessman. They're going in. They're gonna collect 3 dinosaurs' DNA, bring it back, make some, you know, medicine out of it or whatnot. Cool. I like that. That sounds like that's a good enough story to roll with. I think that's fine and dandy. You know, even the stuff of like, they kind of explained some things in the very beginning that I thought were fine too, where it's like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, like the dinosaurs are actually dying off because realistically the only one place they can live is in the equator. So pretty much either they're dead in Brooklyn right now, or, you know, we had to ship them back to Isla Sonar. Hey, funny enough, they have to go back to the first movie. But at least it kind of, it stops that weird dinosaur apocalypse, like, or weird, like, we're going to live with the dinosaurs, you know, and all of a sudden it's like, it's going to turn into like Flintstones or something like that, where somebody has to go to work and the guy's like, oh, they hired a fucking velociraptor. Fucking figures, taking all of our jobs.
Well, you know,
Velociraptor's just there, like in a little suit and everything like that.
Yeah, they can't pick up the bucket properly. And you're just like, oh, yeah, sorry, you got to actually do some of his load for him. And he just like hisses at you and just like.
So
you can see like a couple of guys. You see a couple of guys like sitting on like the girder, like having their lunch up in the sky, and then pan over. There's like a fucking velociraptor and like a spinosaurus, or those fucking things are called.
Yeah, Dilophosaurus one. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, like, there's some cool dinosaur parts they bring back to Dilophosaurus. As I said, there is some decent stuff in it. But let me tell you the part that really throws the wrench in the whole gears of why you're not going to care about anything going on is, okay, the mercenaries and even Scarlett Johansson, even though she's not my favorite actress, whatever, she's not too bad. She's there. She's a fine main character enough. You go along with it and everything. But there's a second group of characters that they decide to throw in here. And what it is there's this family.
Of course, the kid.
The kid, and ironically, the kid's actually probably not the worst one of them all. There's a family, and they decide like, oh, you know, we're gonna go take a family sailboat trip out. You know, my oldest daughter's going to college and stuff. It's be one more, you know, family hoo-ha out here and so on like that. And it's just like, you know, there's dinosaurs out here. Like, I mean, like. We'll be fine. It doesn't matter. And of course, you know, there's a megalodon or whatever that comes by and knocks the boat over. But before we get to that part, this is where it really ruins it. So there's the dad. The dad's actually fine. There's the little girl, whatever. She's not as bad as you would think. She still has some weird stuff. There's the older daughter. And then there's the older daughter's boyfriend she brings on. And this is how they introduce this guy. His name's Xavier, so if you want a reason to hate him even more, even though I like Professor Xavier, but just when this guy is, it's like you give a really douchey guy. Well, whatever. The dad's like, okay, I've been taking the helm for the last, 12 hours, and he's like, Xavier, he's like, where's your boyfriend, Xavier? She's like, oh, he's sleeping in or whatnot. He's like, well, could you go get him? And he comes on up, no shirt on, just shorts. And he's like, yo, what up, Dad? What do you want? He's like, well, we've all been up sailing all night long. It's like, it's your turn to take the wheel. He's like, nah, I don't think so. And he just goes over and lays down like on the boat like, oh, yeah, I'm still pretty fucking tired. I know it's been like 12 hours and shit, but like, the boat just makes me tired, you know? You guys got
a
this.
long night of blasting your daughter's throat out, let me tell you.
Yeah, you didn't hear that boat rocking? And then like the little girl's like eating like fucking like licorice or something like that. He's like, oh, awesome licorice, far out. Grabs it, fucking just starts macking it and stuff. And then the dad's just like the point where he's like, fuck, whatever. You know what? Just go down there. I think it's fucking better that way. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, all right, Pops, I got you. Fist bump. Come on, do it. And then he goes down there, and then the father's just there like that look of like, fuck. looking at his fucking daughters dating him. She's like, Dad, you don't get it. Xavier's got a lot of stuff on his mind. It's like, oh, you're giving him fucking attitude now? Like, yeah, like you just don't understand and stuff like that. And you just see this dad he's kind of he's just one of those, like, almost like the pushover dad, where you just feel like it's like, you know, if it was olden days, you'd be like, I'm gonna go down there and beat some ass because fucking no one's gonna see us out here on the middle of the ocean.
Or international waters.
Yeah, guess who's getting thrown to the megalodon?
Or just to take off his belt to just wrap around his fist, just start just wailing on him, you know, right in, like, right for all the fucking dinosaurs to see. Just send him out there as like just like beaten bait, just chuck him in the fucking water.
So you got like literally like the world's shittiest boyfriend that the story wants you to try to like this guy as time goes on. It's like, how am I ever going to like this guy?
So this guy doesn't die like 5 minutes in. He's not like the first one, like fall off the side and get eaten by a fucking megalosaurus.
No, almost nobody dies in this movie except for the black guy, of course. And
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, oh no, not him. He makes it. The other black guy, the French black dude. Of course, he's like the first. Well, he's maybe not the first one to go, but one of the first ones. And the Mexican like mechanic lady.
Spoilers,
or
folks. Spoilers. Yeah.
So of course, you know, they all get killed. The people that, you know, and all the annoying ones the whole way through. And that's the thing, is you have to go back and forth between this and there, and then they have a business guy in here, and they do kind of like the writing's really dumb in this movie. Like, I feel like I haven't said that in a long time about a movie, but the writing like is just dumb. Like, just lines and stuff. You're like, Jesus, that went. How many hands did that have to go through? And the worst part too is this David Cope, who wrote the other Jurassic Park movies. But obviously, if Michael Crichton's not alive, he doesn't know how to like write an intellectual sentence. So I don't know what to say here. But like, you know, because they do the thing where it's like the businessman is bad. Like, well, why? Because he's in the business and making money. And the mercenaries are bad too. Why? Because they want to get paid. You know, and it's just like, but if you get science in here, if you get stuff, you should give it out for free. Will you get paid for that? Well, no, but you'll be a good person. And but it's like the way the lines are delivered are like, they're so like, it makes you not even want to believe it. And there's even a part two where like, okay, so, you know, these guys, like the stupid family gets attacked by a megalodon. It capsizes their sailboat. They're out there. You're like, please eat the fucking kid. Please eat the fucking kid. No, the fucking kid makes it. He gets on top of there and so on like that. Yeah, the dad has to go fucking save him, but at least he gets the medical pack, whatever, you know. And so the mercenaries.
Is there like a not Deus Ex Machina moment, but is there a moment where if someone has to reach the sail, if only someone could reach the sail? It's like, I got it this time, Dad. Do you have some bullshit like that at some point?
The only thing he does, and this comes a little bit later, is well, I'll lead up to it because it actually has a couple things that go with it.
I don't need to know the whole movie. I don't even.
I'm telling you the whole movie. I'm just telling you why you're gonna hate this character. I'm not gonna go into the other stuff, but here, this goes in here. So the mercenaries then. And this is the weird thing. Okay, so it's a group of mercenaries with a businessman and a nerdy scientist guy. They get a distress call. When does generally mercenaries go, you know what we gotta do? There's some people in trouble. We gotta turn around and go 30 miles the wrong direction. And I just felt like, what? It's like, yo, this is our civic duty. And it's like, okay, so whatever. They pick this family up and get him on board, and like already like the fucking like son's like, I don't fucking like that business guy, man. He's got like those business eyes, like they're pissing me off, man. He's like the man. He's like, dude, shut the fuck up. The guy just picked you up. He gave you fucking Doritos. Like, I don't know what you're bitching about.
Yeah, but they're Cool Ranch. They're not like sweet chili pepper Doritos. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, so he's bitching. And I'll say this, there's a lot of fucking product placement in this movie. Like literally in the very beginning of this. In the movie, a guy's eating a Snickers bar, and he drops the wrapper. The wrapper gets sucked into the door, which causes the door to jam. Then there's a containment issue, and a dinosaur breaks out. So this guy dies because he ate a Snickers. I felt like it was like a PSA message. You're like, you know, if you're eating a Snickers while at work, you might be the guy who ends up dying. You're going to be in one of those Darwin Awards books.
Should have had a payday. Has more protein. Maybe would give you the strength to hold that door back.
Yeah. So whatever. Okay, we're back on the boat here. I just is the part I just want to explain. I know. I feel like I'm going off on a ramble here, but they're going through the waters. A bunch of Spinosauruses show up. Havoc ensues. So the dude's driving the boat. And he's like, well, I'm going to have to crash it into like the bay that, because it's shallow there. For some reason, dinosaurs don't like shallow water. It's like, I fucking saw Jurassic Park 3. They walk on land. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. And so of course he's going like full steam ahead. And like the annoying daughter, she falls off the boat and she's holding on to the side. And she's looking at the business guy. And the business guy's like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm not saving her. And then she's like so pissy about it. I'm like, at the point up there, I'm like, I don't even like this girl. I'm like, I wish that business guy went up and just big booted her in the face and just said, yeah, there we go. But no. So, and then throughout the whole movie, she falls off there and she's pissed as hell at that guy. Like, she's gonna like literally like try to murder this guy and try to get everybody else to like fucking kill him too. Even though once again, this is the guy who, has got everything he's paying for all this stuff. The only redeeming, I guess, moment you would say is Xavier jumps off the boat when she falls off the boat, And that's supposed to be like the part where Dad's like, I'm glad you jumped off after my daughter. I mean, I know everybody else fell off the boat too, but, But that's like, by this point, I'm like, dude,
he was chasing after Doritos. He wasn't going after her. She had the Doritos on her,
Exactly. So, I don't know. As I said, there's a handful of scenes in the movie that are cool. I mean, they do just kind of rip them from the Jurassic Park and the Lost World book. Like, they have, like, the riverboat scene once again.
I saw the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's kind of cool, but once again, the family, you're like, does the T-Rex eat the family? No, then I don't really give a fuck. Like, And it's like, it's even kind of illogical. It's like the T-Rex literally just ate another dinosaur. I hate to sort of say it. He's full as fuck. He's not going to care about, a couple of appetizers that are floating away.
So it was interesting. It wasn't your favorite, but it was interesting, right?
Yeah, it's. I think this is what it is. I'll say this: if it wasn't a Jurassic Park movie, you would probably be like, I'd be like, middle of the road. But because it's a Jurassic Park movie, I felt like it hit me on a more personal level. So I felt like, I don't know, it was one of those ones where I sat there kind of like with that arms crossed, being like, oh, here we fucking go again. Like, each time that fucking kid would show up again, and he's just like, oh man, Dad, I fucking hate walking. It like hurts my feet and shit. Like, you got any weed on you? Like, no, I don't. Oh, that sucks. You'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Well,
you ever seen your daughter's tits before? I mean, like, I saw them last night. I thought they're great. Oh yeah, I forgot it's your daughter. That's fucking weird. Yeah, I should have said that. Whatever.
I motivated her butt cheeks after that, if that makes it weirder. I don't know.
I mean, do you mind if I have the other daughter when she's about 5 years older from now? Like, I'm just saying. Like, can I put like a down payment on her?
Trade in for the new model, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, it's just like the dad's fine, except for the fact that he's just like, he's almost like, you would say like modern dad, like he has no authority anymore. Where like Dad of 30 years ago, would have been a hard drama movie.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But I mean, I was like, I'm one of those people who I won't say I almost like them in the order they came out, except I like number 6 more than 5. But
yeah, same here.
Beyond that, it's kind of the order they came out for me. And since World, they've all kind of steadily gone down a lot more for me. Even the first World was a dumb movie, but it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it still. But since then, just more so. So I was like, I'll check it out. I wanted to see it, but I'm not like in a huge rush. And so no for you. I was going off like, I was like, I thought this would just be a quick little like fun. I was just gonna like.
I don't know. You could see that this has like tormented me just a little bit, like in this process.
Well, I feel bad for the people who saw I saw the devil, like, and it's 14 minutes in. I didn't know it was going to be that. I thought like, oh, this would be a fun first like 2 to like 6 minutes. Like, oh shit,
you set them fucking off, Yeah, as I said, it's one of those ones where it's not unworth seeing. It's just expect it to be kind of dumb. And there's a couple action scenes that are cool, but I feel like the downfall is after Michael Crichton died. It's like it lost like the intellectualness to Jurassic Park.
I can kind of see that. I mean, I only read the first book, really liked it, but yeah, I don't know. I'll see it eventually. Yeah, I just knew that I didn't even realize it came out already. It just kind of snuck up on me. It's like, oh shit, all right, well, and then just life got in the way for a minute. But then I'm like, well, Spencer saw it, and then I just, oh, okay. Well, if you're saying, because you're very forgiving towards a lot of things, you'll have your nitpicks on things, but you're very forgiving. So the fact that you're just like 15 minutes in, here we are.
Yeah, as I say, and then just one other thing, it's like
just on the kid. Just on the kid. It was just on the kid is all it was.
Yeah, it's mainly that. I'll say this because it's one of those ones. If you took that family element out of there, the movie would probably be fine. It might have a couple of like moments you're like, okay, that's a little bit dumb lines, but beyond that, it's okay because it does have some. They try to work some comedy throughout the movie in there too, and it falls flat like almost every single time and like very out of place, know. But yeah, as I say, it's just that family aspect is just you fucking change. That family aspect, I don't know what to say, but it just bothered me.
For your thoughts.
Yeah, there we go. But I Saw the Devil. See, you know what? I'll say this. If our main villain from I Saw the Devil showed up on the boat there, it would have solved all those problems. You know what I mean? He could fucking ride a Spinosaurus off the island somehow, some way.
It could have been either.
Because even though he's a super despicable person, he still has some weird comedy and wit about him, and he survives so much shit.
The thing about this movie, so I guess we'll get into the main topic of the day. I Saw the Devil.
Not I Saw the Dino.
Not I Saw the Dino. I Saw the Devil. And the reason we picked I Saw the Devil is because K-pop Demon Hunters just came out. So, no, joking. It was episode 666. So we thought, hey, let's do something with devil in the title. And I don't know, like I like Evil Dead and all that, but I guess we've done Evil Dead before. I'm like, let's do I Saw the Devil, because it's a movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies. And I'll be honest, even though it's one of my favorite horror movies, I've only watched it like 3 times. Just because A, it's a long movie, B, it's a pretty fucking bleak movie. So you have to be in the right mindset. At least for me personally, I have to be in the right headspace to watch it. So but yeah, so we just wanted to cover this one. And this isn't your first time seeing it, is it?
No, because you let me borrow it back. I couldn't remember if I owned it or not, but I was like, oh yeah, you let me borrow it when you got it, because this is a movie by Kim Jee-Woon, and he's the same dude who did The Last Stand with Arnold Schwarzenegger, as well as The Good, Bad, and the Weird. And this is like that time period where like we kind of just started discovering this guy's movies, and then I think this is like the second or third one you found. You're like, oh, dude, you gotta check this one out. This one's fucking crazy, and so on like that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I borrowed it. For some reason I can't remember if we watched it together or if I watched it just by myself, but I remember watching me like, oh shit, this one gets intense and so on like that. Yeah. And that was like the one thing I kind of remembered kind of going back into this again is like I remember this movie just being really intense. The funny thing about it though is like it's intense, but it's also strangely kind of comical at the same time too. Not like super comedy. And I know it's like I don't know if it's necessarily intending to be, but there's just moments in it where I fucking laugh, but probably just because it gets so intense that I feel like I need to laugh.
That's an opposite reaction I had. I never really had a whole lot of laughs throughout this movie. I can think of like real crazy intense dramas I've laughed through, like just of course there is if you listen to the show for a while, there's like Out of the Furnace or something like that, where it's just like how grody and fucked up what's his name, Woody Harrelson is in that movie, or just things like that. But like this movie, I don't know. I feel like this movie had its main. If the movie was wanting me to feel something, that's what I was feeling. I felt like, and it was something to the effect of, because I'll be 100% honest. Horror is not my favorite genre. It's not by any means my least favorite genre or anything. I'm just like picky and choosy on my horror films. And because for a long time, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit of a puss. I didn't like to watch horror films. I was too scared to watch horror films for the longest time. But then I just started kind of like, I'm going to broaden my horizons and check more out. So I first saw this movie at a point when I really wasn't watching a lot of horror movies. so to go from kind of like, like something as campy and silly as like, even when I didn't like horror movies, there's still a couple I liked, like Fright Night or whatnot. But like, at a point when I was like, kind of like only had my like handful of horror films I liked. I'm like, I'm gonna jump over to this, you know. I'm like, oh shit, you know, just the very beginning, because I was liking the work of this director, and I knew this movie was coming out, and everyone was talking about how good this movie was, and I just saw Good, the Bad, the Weird, and loved it. So looked this movie up, got it, and then I'm like at a Rasputin's in San Francisco, and then I remember buying it in like the goth girl at checkout. She's like, oh my god, I love this movie. I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, you might want to brace yourself, the rape scene's pretty intense. I'm like, all right, cool, good to know, you know, not a conversation you think you'd have like at checkout. Maybe the Rasputin's a little bit more understandable, you know.
Well, you know, it's funny because you say horror, and I would actually say, I mean, it's in like a subgenre of horror, but it's more like that suspense thriller, because it's, I guess because it's more like a criminal investigation type movie, and like almost like, in a strangely enough, a partial like action movie, but it's got like a lot of elements going on into it too, because, you know, of course you have the main villain's a serial killer, which is like what makes it kind of have its slight horror suspense vibes. But like almost like in a sense, it's not like there's like necessarily like scary moments. It's more just fucking weird shit going down. You're like, oh fuck, and just watching one guy track down another guy and seeing where it's going to go to next. And a lot more of like, oh shit, here we go, and like, oh, what's going to happen here? And then, you know, you keep finding out twists and turns along the way.
I say horror because the amount of gore in the movie, and it has a constant sense of dread. There's a constant sense of dread throughout this movie. And I guess we should say, before we go into the, I don't think we need to break the movie down like an act 1, an act 2, and like that, but we'll just talk about the movie in general. But I guess the hook of the movie is, you imagine, first off, the movie's like an hour and a half or an hour, or sorry, not an hour, 2 hours.
Like
2.5 hours, yeah. Something like that. You think it's going to be some kind of like stoic revenge serial killer movie where the guy is tracking down the guy who killed his wife, but then he finds him like in the first, like from the moment they find his wife's body to the moment he finds him, that takes probably about like, give or take, like 30 minutes. You know, and then the rest of the movie, what he does is, because the guy, the main character, I forget this actor's name, but he's in a lot of stuff. Yes. He's fantastic.
He's Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe.
Lee Byung-hun. He is tracking down Choi, Min-sik, and those are their actor names. They're basically, he's tracking him down, and what he does is he finds him because he's actually basically the Korean equivalent to a CIA agent or a secret agent or something to that effect. So it's not like just some cop. It's like a guy who's like topples governments and shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, he's kind of like on like a case initially, and his wife's supposed to be, you know, coming home, and she's got some car trouble and whatnot. And so, you know, she's just waiting for like a tow truck to show up, and it's snowing out and everything like that. And of course, the main villain dude kind of walks on
her birthday
like,
too.
Oh yeah, on her birthday, just to top it off, you know. And he's like, he's got his snow hood on and whatnot. He's taking lugs. Like, oh, you got flat tires. He's like, yeah, I know, tow truck's coming. He's like, just stands there creepily staring and so on like that, you know. And it takes about 3 or 4 times before she finally leaves, and then it's like, oh, okay, and stuff. And she's on the phone, like, I want to say the whole time with, you know, her boyfriend or her husband, and they're just having
she's about to call him back. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And then he's about to call him back, and of course, then all of a sudden that guy comes back and starts stabbing his way through the fucking windshield and so on like that, and just goes brutal on her.
So here's the thing with the movie. First off, the hook is, I was going to say, so he doesn't just find this guy. He finds the guy, beats the ever-living fuck out of him, and then bugs him. And then like leaves some money on him with a note saying, get yourself patched up. He's like, what the fuck is this shit, you know? And then like, so basically it becomes like the hero is stalking the serial killer. And every time he gets himself patched up, he finds him again and fucks him up. And that's the hook of the movie. And I think it's a really awesome hook. There's something that because I was looked up a couple of like reviews and video essays on this. and maybe someone else has said it, but I haven't heard this. And it's something I noticed the first time I watched it, and I thought it was kind of an interesting way to go about it. This movie is a hard watch. I could say, even though I love this movie, I can't recommend this movie to everybody. I don't know who I would really. There's a certain kind of person. I think you got to, or a certain kind of film person you got to be to watch this movie, because it's pretty fucking brutal, and not just like there's more movies that are more violent than this, but it's pretty violent, and it's more of just like the shit the bad guy does and how fucking like what a grotesque piece of shit he is. The thing that's interesting about this movie, though, is whenever he brutalizes a lady or hurts a woman or kills a lady, they show enough to make it uncomfortable, but they never show enough to glamorize it or to really like make it seem like you're watching like Saw or Hostel. There's enough there to give it its R rating, to make it gross and to make you like kind of cringe, but not enough to make you like feel like not for it to be like a torture porn. Because if you notice, whenever he attacks a lady, they never actually show. He hits him with like a hammer in the head or like a pipe and just knocks him out, and there's blood, but it's always a kind of a distant. You never see their head. You never see like it happen. Then there'll be blood around him, and then they'll be like, they'll be like naked in a bag, bloodied up, and then like later he'll be like, you'll see like dismembered body parts around. That in itself is enough to be gross and give it a R rating. But that's the thing. It's enough to like make you go like, fuck this guy. Now, whenever the bad shit happens to him, they fucking show everything. Yeah. That's the thing I noticed about this movie. That makes you like kind of like whenever he does something, you're just kind of like, shit. But whenever he or someone like him gets brutalized, you're like, fuck yeah, we're gonna pop out this motherfucker's Achilles tendon when I won't say it because I won't spoil, but like basically when all the bad shit happens to him, the camera does not turn away.
Yeah, no, focus on it. You get to watch it go down and so on. You know what the thing I thought about this movie is what it really kind of reminds me of is like if you took a really grounded and reality looking version of like Batman, and it sounds strange, but like it's almost like what Batman does, where it's like he goes out and here's like, let's just say there's the Joker and he's going out doing all this heinous crimes and he just beats the living shit out of him, but then he puts him back in Arkham. He's like, I'm gonna do it again next Tuesday, like, and it's like because all the other police officers after a while are like, dude, the fuck are you doing? Like, why didn't you just kill him? And so on like that. You just keep letting this guy go and then you go back and do it again. Because in a sense, like, it's a weird one is like our main character literally like he goes and he like beats this guy up, but it's funny because he keeps letting him be free again so he can go beat him up again. But at the same time, like each time he does that, he pretty much lets a couple other people get killed in the process. Like, so he's almost like in a weird way letting this bad guy go out and get a couple more murders in, because everywhere this guy goes, he just kills people. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, of course the women and stuff get brutalized and so on, but he kills everybody in his way. Like he'll go like the drugstore, he kills the guy there. He goes to the hospital, the guy talks to him, gives him some fucking attitude. He's like, who you calling boy? One, you look like you're 5 years older than me. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you right here on the spot. So he just gets intense all over the place.
It's also, but at the same time, the movie even acknowledges, like, because before he goes after him, there's like 5 guys. He goes down a list. He's like, here's the 5 guys that we think may be the suspects. He's the last one. And the first 4 are just like, they did similar crimes, or at least were accused of similar crimes, and they gave him no trouble. They were fucking easy. So now he's from the guy, and now he's like, I'm gonna take my fucking time with you. But he underestimates him, and he even says at some point, like, okay, I underestimated you. That's on me. I don't think he lets him go knowing that he's gonna like kill more people. Yeah. Like I think he lets him go thinking like, this guy is a fucking piece of shit. He's cowardly. And the thing is, like, he's doing it again. What the fuck? So it's kind of like, so it's just kind of like, he almost like, eventually tides turn, but it's something to the effect of like, you see this guy just like, it's interesting what the movie kind of does. I mean, I'm not want to jump to the end yet, but there's no point where I had any sense or sympathy for the villain. There's at no point where I didn't think he didn't deserve to die. But when you get to the end, given what the cost comes, I think that kind of almost hits the main character more of just prolonging this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think so. And I think that's actually the thing that makes this movie kind of like a good, in a sense, suspense movie, is the fact that our main villain doesn't have like those like moments in the movie where you go, oh, okay, well, I kind of get it. I mean, that's not what I would have done, but I see why he did it, because I think that ruins a lot of horror movies, is when they try to make you like be able to relate to the villain. And I know that like in some, they always say there's like that stupid like writers kind of thing where like, you know, like there's no such thing as a real villain. Every villain thinks of themselves as the hero. I'm like, no. There's some people out there that know people
if you say that.
Yeah, there's some people out there that are just like pure evil, and they relish in that, and that's what this guy pretty much is. He's somebody who just he knows that he's able to go through this, and he keeps doing it because he can, and like, you know, and I think there's never a moment where it's like, oh yeah, but he just had a bad childhood, and that's why he's like this. You know, no, it doesn't do that kind of shit, you know, or like, well, yeah, I think it was there's fucking the Wes Craven movie, but the remake of it, the Last House on the Left. I remember because like in the original Wes Craven one, they give you those guys are just pure evil. Like it gives you no reason to like why they are. But in the remake one, they make it where I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like the girls kind of do something where it's like they kind of make a mistake, and that kind of gives them almost like a reason why. I'm like that one little reason thing there took away almost like why that made those guys seem so like that pure 70s evil, where in this movie I like that he is just like pure evil. There's no like redeeming qualities to him.
I actually never seen either of them, but I still don't know how you do like they cut me off in traffic, we're gonna rape that fucking house now. Like I don't know what the fuck they do to like justify it. I can't imagine what it would be. I think I heard it was something like that, or one of them was like a bitch in like a grocery market line.
I think it was something like that. I mean, like once again, yeah, it's like not enough, but it gives you just as like a writing stance. It has just enough, like you know, they provoked him just enough where like it's not just like, oh yeah, he's just creeping in here. Like in this movie, he just kind of just literally creeps in. Like he could be the nicest person in the world, but it doesn't make a fucking difference, you know.
Like the writer of the remake was just like, you know, have you ever had like one of those days where someone at the supermarket just pisses you off and you just want to go to their house and like, you know, like fucking rape them? Like, no, I've never had that. Like, oh, well, fuck, I already submitted my first draft. So hopefully it speaks to somebody.
Yeah. I kind of have I don't like to do more than one draft. Once it's in, that's it. We're making it.
One and done. Next.
Yeah. But
I've never seen it. I didn't really care to see that one, I'll be honest.
No, but, that one's not. Yeah, that's one of those ones too where it's kind of soft compared to like the 70s one, you know.
Well, I imagine they're both somewhat soft. Maybe not the 70s one. I know probably.
No, the 70s one's pretty intense.
Compared to this, where you think the 70s one stands?
It's similar vibe. I mean, I'm gonna say this one's definitely gorier, but it's in a much more similar, like where you feel like, oh shit, you know,
gotcha.
Like, shit's going down. You know, actually, it's probably there's certain things that are more brutal in that 70s in the Last House on the Left than this one, because this one does do a lot of cutaways from like the true terror, I guess you would sort of say, you know, because like you almost like you're saying that like when that girl's like, oh yeah, that rape scene's intense in it, it's like, well, for the most part, like they never show any of it. You kind of, it's like implied maybe that he does it, but at the same time you're like, maybe he just cuts him up. You're like, I don't know what he does. And then there's that one scene where they're like in the garden and he's almost gonna rape this lady, but then that's when fucking Snake Eyes or whatever, is he Snake Eyes? I gotta say this real quick, is he Snake Eyes or is he the other guy in G.I. Joe?
He's not
Storm.
He's Storm Shadow or whatever.
Storm Shadow. Okay, so Storm Shadow. I kept saying Snake Eyes, but I'm like, wait a second. No, he's Storm
I get him mixed
Shadow.
up. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen G.I. Joe.
Lee Byung-hun.
But so he kind of shows up there and he stops that pretty much just in time, you know. So like, and it's, in a weird way, they don't show any of that. Where like some of those 70s movies, they full on show. It's like, guess what? You're here for the next 10 minutes. No, it's not Harvey Keitel naked. You're gonna wish you saw Harvey Keitel naked by the time this scene's done. So I can't remember what I was going at with that, but
Well, just to go off what you said about, because we were talking about like the rape scenes of the movie. Yeah, well, I mean, so there's the first girl that he attempts to, but he stops, and then there's the girl at the doctor's office, which he gets far with. But the thing about that is they don't show it, but there's enough just to see how he's talking to the girl, and to see he pushes her head down, and to see how he is so unfazed by it, and the girl is crying. And the thing about the girl, he didn't get some like they didn't like pick some kind of like like bodacious like kind of like hot, like the girl was cute, she was a pretty lady, but they didn't like, I felt like I knew that chick. I felt like it was somebody you like would have a class with, or someone you would see at a doctor's office who was just it was like a part-time job or something like that, and that kind of made it seem
more real.
It made more real. So when he's like, when she goes into the room to grab, when she goes into like the storage room to grab something, and he's just in there, he has the door, he's like, and he's just like no emotion. He's just like, lose the blouse, and just no emotion, and just like she's like that's probably like, I mean, for me personally, that is probably the hardest part to watch. That, or like the first, like not the first 5 minutes of the movie, but the part where he gets Lee Byung-hun's wife, when he gets her in his lair, in his murder lair, basically.
He starts, like, hacking her up,
even though or like even the conversation he's having where she says like, please don't do this, I'm pregnant. He's not fazed. He doesn't like, it's like this shit just bounces right off him. And the thing about this character is like, I appreciate this movie does not go out of its way at all to make, maybe there's something that happened to him at some point, but it doesn't really offer enough of that, which is it doesn't not enough. It doesn't really offer it so much, just because would you really care by this point,
Yeah, it's the point, but at least it's like, I'm glad they just don't throw that in there, because some movies feel like they have to throw in some reasoning behind it and so on like that, and I like that it doesn't. He's just pure evil. I mean, he's so evil that he fucking drives a school bus, Yeah, well,
there's even that part,
just to add in an extra creep factor.
Well, there's even that part where he's just ready to go out killing, doesn't matter what, and just because he's breathing, so he's going to kill while he's out there. I do think it's interesting after when he's just walking down the road, he's just like, after the first time he gets fucked up, and he's just walking down the road to a hospital because his car is shot to shit or something like that, or like wires cut or something. I don't remember the details. He's going, and he has like a knife on him, and he's trying to wave down a car, and he's going to slit the throat of whoever he gets, and then a cab picks him up, and then he gets in the cab, and within that cab, he's looking around like, there's already another guy in the cab. This guy up front is being way too friendly. He looks at the picture of the cab driver. It does not match the guy driving. And he's just like looking around. He's like, they're like me. And then he just starts knifing both these fuckers. And then like when he crashes the thing, he opens the body of the cab driver's in there. Like, okay, I just bumped into 2 other serial killers on the way here. Is what it is.
Well, that's the weird thing about this movie, is it makes you feel like, for someone who's never been to South Korea, it's like, is there just serial killers like all on like every corner or something like that? Because that's what this movie is. It's like he literally mingles with a bunch of serial killers throughout it and so on like that. So he runs into the the cabbie people who are serial killers and takes them out. And
I do like that after he kills that guy, he's walking around like in a soccer jersey for like a Catholic team or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he finds it in the back, and that's just the outfit he wears and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's got some weird, like, it's very, very, very dark comedy, but like there is chuckle moments in it, just like goofy shit that like kind of happens. Where, as I said, I feel like you probably laugh because it's like it's almost so dark that it makes it kind of funny. I guess because you're watching a movie, I feel like you can't explain that to very many people though. It's like that's like that one where they just look at you and go, "The fuck did you find funny in that movie?"
I was kind of laughing on like the small things, like he gets the jersey and it's just for a cat. Just seeing that guy walking around like in a soccer jersey with a big cross on the back. I was kind of chuckling at the thought of that. I was kind of chuckling a little bit when when like it probably wasn't, this part wasn't actually meant to be funny. I think it was meant to show like, okay, this guy came from a dysfunctional, fucked up family, because when the main character is going around trying to get as much information he can on our serial killer, he stops at his parents' house, and and he apparently has a son, and he just dropped his son off there, and like dad is drunk, just sleeping in the middle of the day. There's a bunch of like alcohol bottles lined up against the wall against them, and the mom is just being like, oh, you know, our boy, he does, or you know, first off, she's sad. She's like, we haven't seen him in so long. She sees a more recent picture of him, and she starts crying like, what happened to our son? Why is he like that? Then the dad gets up. He's like, fuck him. Fuck that piece of shit. You call that a son? And I even that part was kind of funny, but I guess it's meant to get across like, who knows who he's probably not the best dad. He's probably not the best guy. And who knows whatever this guy and however he raised him or lack of raising made him turn out this way. I think that's the most we get of like, this is why who he is, or not all why, but like a part, because the dad is not nearly as bad as him as far as what the movie shows us. But that moment where you see like, his parents, he's estranged from them and just dropped his kid off with them, you know?
Yeah, no, it shows that like obviously the parents didn't do a very good job of raising him, you know, and the dad's an alcoholic and God knows what he did and so on, you know. So I mean, I guess there is a bit of like that part, but it's still like, it's nothing like where you kind of, you know, you go, okay, so there we go. He just kind of, you know, all this time has been just through all kinds of stuff and realize no one's watching him anyway, so he can do whatever he wants.
What also got across, because when he bumps into his serial killer cannibal guy, you know, friend.
Yeah, so once again, more serial killers in Korea.
So here's what I think is interesting. What I find is interesting is what it doesn't tell us, and kind of it gives you a chance to parse it together. Maybe they said it through a line of dialogue and I missed it. But, you know, after he gets fucked up again, you know, I don't remember which one this is, but when he's like, he's like, I need a place to crash. And he's walking through like the woods, and there's a very, very nice, fancy, modern like cabin out there. And you see a dude in the front and like just throwing away like bloody clothes and underwear into a furnace. Like, oh, okay, I know where we're at now, you know. And then and you know, there's a bunch of dogs there, like big beefy ass dogs in there, like barking and losing their shit in the cages. And then he gets in there.
It's like that Rorschach scene in The Watchmen. That's what it reminds me of.
I think it's something to that effect. Or like, and then we see there's like this fat Korean dude eating a super thin, super bloody rare steak, and then this like really like waifish lady with like frizzy hair there. And she doesn't even talk, and they're just kind of hanging out, and we learn through their conversation this is a friend of the bad guy, but B, they're in a militia. They try to start up a militia at some point, and that's how they met. And the idea of like they just both need an excuse to kill, and they didn't really have probably a cause to go with, you know?
Yeah, they were just forming up their Legion of Doom of serial killers, you know.
I don't even think it was that. I just think they're just two fucking psychos, just wanted to hurt people. And then when everything else fell apart, they're like, to the people who they didn't kill in the unit or whatever, they're like, fuck you, whatever, just go off in different directions. But they kept them like, hey, we got this thing in interest. But like,
it's like, he's the only guy I can relate to.
Yeah. But here's something I think is interesting about this whole scene, because they don't really explain anything, but at the same time, I think kind of adds context. Like I almost kind of got the idea that in my head, either the cannibal or his girlfriend, whoever that lady was, maybe it was his sister, I don't know. Maybe both. Who fucking knows? The fucked up family.
Yeah. They also had a bunch of money somehow too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think that one of them is like inherited a bunch of fucking money and is probably just living in their family's house after their family's dead from maybe being killed, maybe just being estranged and giving them their money. And now they just get to kind of like do whatever. And for whatever reason, either the lady is in on it, or she's the one that's like, yeah, you can crash in my house, or she's like, I don't know, I like listening to a lot of serial killer podcasts. I'm now dating a serial killer. That's kind of cool. She doesn't talk, but like how just kind of like separate she seems from it all, but still right there, you know.
Well, because isn't she like
just,
when they're sitting down eating? Isn't she like eating like a salad or something? She's eating something completely different than like.
yeah, like they're all eating. I don't remember what they're eating. They're all eating regular things, but he is eating this incredibly thin, super bloody rare steak, and he's just like, I fucking, the meat calls to me, man. The meat calls to me. He's like, I got my limits. I'm a fucking serial killer, but I got my fucking limits. I'll never do that, you know.
Yeah, it's like so he's like that's just making you go crazy, and when he's like, oh, dude, once you have this, you can't go back, you know what I mean? And he's just way too into it. And I think that our main villain guy, he's just eating like fish or something like that, like just like literally look like he just like in like, the fucking backyard, like on a stick. And then I almost
right
want
next
to
to the meat, probably.
Yeah, I want to say the girl's eating like a salad, which it's just an interesting context of how all these different meals are, and they're in the same place.
And something about that guy is like, because he is like probably where like our main villain is way more like he's like calm, but he's like, well, he's visually calm, but he's ready to snap at any moment. Like you say, hey man, how's it going? Have a good day. Like, what the fuck you say to me
about it?
What's so fucking good? You tell me you have a good fucking day? Why should I do what the fuck you tell me? Like, I didn't mean it like that. You know, like, so that kind of like, I'm going to like snap back at you rapid fire, like 0 to 60, but I'm not going to scream and yell about it. Where the other guy's like, oh my God, I fucking love woman flesh. Oh my God, it's so fucking good. Oh my God. And then he says like, shit's going to make you crazy, man. She's like, did you fucking call me crazy? He's like, I called you crazy. What the fuck are you going to do about it? And they just stare each other down. That's why this guy's the fucking best. This guy's the fucking best.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. It has like some weird, like fucking, like it's just so fucking weird that it makes it. I feel like I laugh because it's weird, like in a sense. Just these like two psychopaths literally sitting right next to each other, and this the lady we know nothing about, and when she gets punched in the face later on, she gets like double punched by
Clint Eastwood's like, fist dollars, fistful of dollars.
Yeah, when Lee comes in and goes pop pop pop, like I laugh so fucking hard when she gets it like that. She goes down. You're like, I don't think she ever gets back up again from that. It's like that's it. Fucking like 3 punches, she's down.
I actually think if this goes back, this sets us back a little bit, but I can actually think of something that I do find kind of funny. There's the one head detective. This is what this reminded me, and it's not just because they're all Asian, but it did remind me of this. There's like the head detective and his like 3 or 4 goons that are always like right behind him that are just kind of like, it really reminded me of like that detective from Lupin the Third, who's always like, I'll get you, Lupin. He has like, like a bunch of like guys with batons like, like we're running right behind him. It kind of gave me vibes of that. Like those are his guys for that, like wherever he goes, those guys are right behind him with, in a single file line.
It kind of is true because throughout the whole movie, like they're always there, and they always literally like kind of
in the background,
much like and they repeat whatever like the main detective guy says, when he's like yelling at Lee and whatnot.
I guess it is also kind of funny. I was saying, yeah, there's when I was like, I can't think of a whole lot of moments I laughed. I'm like, actually, no, I was laughing when he was hitting that one guy, that one serial killer in the balls with the wrench. Yeah, I was laughing at that part. So
that's what I mean. It's like it sounds weird. It's because it's like one of those ones for as dark as the movie is to say that like there's a lot of parts I laugh, but I don't know what it is. Sometimes I also have a weird like I don't know, maybe it's like a tick or something like that where like somebody gets fucking clobbered over the head and it's just I don't know what it is because like a movie you're like I'm fucking laughing. The guy gets hit in the balls. I mean, dude, let's be honest. That's the classic, like fucking, like about like football in the balls, football in the balls, football in the balls. Like, dude, you get hammered in the balls in this one. Oh.
It's also, even though it was kind of like a little bit of a wince, kind of because how much that you just. This is one of the least bloody and least violent parts of the movie, but we've all had this to some extent, so it seems more real when the main character tracks him down to the fancy cannibal cabin, and the main serial killer is coming down the hallway with the shotgun, and he like throws like some hooks out in the hallway, and he's barefoot, and he like steps on one of the hooks, and like even though there was like no blood, because you know what happened. It just one of those fuck, but like I kind of laughed on that part a little bit too. It was a little Home Alone-ish that moment.
Yeah, no, I actually like that part too, where like he's taking out all like the stuff and throwing them on the ground. But yeah, he throws a bunch of fishing hooks because he goes upstairs. Because this is the one thing too I noticed in this movie, and I don't know if this is just a Korean thing, but the fact is, like, for the most part, nobody has guns at all in this movie. Like that shotgun that he finds it in that cabin because it's an old hunting lodge. So it goes to show that that gun could have been there since like the 1800s, even. You know, like. The thing is none of the police officers have guns. Like none of the villains have guns. Everything's pretty much done with like whatever you can grab that's at arm's length is like a weapon in this movie. You know. And I was just wondering if that was one of those ones. I'm like, is Korea one of those areas where it's like really hard to get a fucking gun? You know. I don't know.
I have to watch more.
Like in America, everybody would. If this was like the Americanized version of it, everybody would have a gun. You know. I'm just saying.
Bittersweet Life, which is by the same director, there's a lot of guns. So I think this might just be this movie right here.
It might be a creative choice, I think.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if it was like you kind of like England, you know. I know that England nowadays, it's not like it's hard to get a handgun in England. You really got to know somebody anymore. You don't go down to fucking Big Five and get your handgun, and 3 days later you go out and shoot somebody with it.
I know I said this before, but one of my favorite bits ever about the whole like 3-day rule is like fucking Simpsons, where Homer goes to buy a gun. It's like, okay, you could have your gun in 3 days. He's like, oh, I want it now. Oh, well, state says you have to have your gun in 3 days. He's like, if I had my gun, I'd shoot you right now. Yeah, well, you don't.
Oh, that's one of the best ones. It also reminds me, like, fucking watch The Getaway, and what's his name? Fucking Steve McQueen. He gets that shotgun in like 5 seconds and walks right, like literally 2 steps out the fucking door and starts blasting.
I think that they're in Texas in that part, so like, oh, that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah, Texas, 1970. So okay, but yeah, like the easiest thing. He probably had a harder time buying a Gatorade.
But yeah, you are right though. I'm thinking about that because I didn't notice until you brought it up. Yeah, there isn't a lot of gun usage. There's the part you just mentioned where there's like the old school shotgun, like hunting gun, and then I even like that part when he's like, he just barely misses me, points it, he kicks it out of his hand, it just explodes like the wall behind him.
Yeah, I know, it's really badass. Yeah, he takes that out and so on like that. And yeah, that's it. There's literally like 2 shots. I don't even know if he even reloads the gun. Like, and that's all that there is in this entire movie. And then mostly everything else is like blunt weapons and then whatever you can grab around you and so on like that. Because there's a lot of
knives.
Yeah, there's a lot of clubbing in this movie, and there's a lot of stabbing. You know,
lots of clubbing. Yeah, and there's also the part where it's also shows some things like, even though there's no point where I found myself liking the serial killer, but it was just like interesting just watching him like tick and how he planned and how because seeing he also like how do I put it? He's not a mindless murder machine. He just has no remorse, because there's a part where he's like, he gets like a screwdriver after killing all the guys in the cab, and the cab won't go nowhere. So he continues walking on the street and he sees more cars coming, and he's like, it's an army. It's like an army van or an army Jeep. And then he sees there's another one right behind him filled with soldiers, all their face painted up. And he's like, and he has like a screwdriver in behind him. He's like, I'm just gonna slide that in the pocket for right now, you know. So he's not just like,
over it.
Yeah. So he's just not some mindless like, I'll take them all, doesn't matter. He's like, he still has some sense of self-preservation. And I think we've been talking about the movie long enough. We could still talk about the movie after this, but like we could probably jump to like part of the end.
Well, I just want to say this real quick since you mentioned the army guys. I love how none of those, out of like the 50 army guys that are there looking at him, nobody questioned, be like, hey, you wonder why that guy's all bloodied up? they just kind of go, hey, car problems? Oh, no? Oh, okay. See ya.
Yeah. They all did give him like the straight, like stern look, like they all looked a little pissed off. Like we just we've been training all fucking day. Don't make us stop to figure out whatever your fucking problem is. What the fuck is this shit, you know?
Yeah, we're all going down to the Hooters right now, so you better not slow us down.
Korean Hooters, yeah. Hooters,
yeah,
like HO-O, you know.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, nobody there seems to care that much, you know, and then he just kind of keeps on going on his merry way. But yeah.
So one thing, I think one of the part where they kind of show the most like emotion or into the mind of the villain is when the main character finally catches up. Because the thing is, the bad guy can fight and he can fuck people up pretty badly, obviously, but he is not as good as the main character. If the main character slips up, then that's an issue, but main character has beaten him time and time again. It's just kind of like, did you get him in a bad moment? That's kind of the thing. So when he finally does catch him, because something the main villain uses a lot is like this makeshift like guillotine to like chop up his bodies. And the main character finally, after basically eventually the bad guy finds out who he is and goes to his father-in-law's house, beats the fuck out of the father-in-law and kills the sister-in-law, which we don't see. We just see him tackle her, and then later they come across her body and she's bound up like in a blanket, and we don't see what he did. We know he killed her, and he comes back all bloodied. He's not even wearing like pants. He's just like cover. He's just wearing a trench coat and he's all bloody. He's walking on a knife, stops in the middle of traffic, and when our guy gets him and he continues to subject him through more pain, he goes as far as like, this is what I mean, one of those things where they wouldn't show this kind of thing towards the woman he brutalizes, but to him, like they show like he gets a screwdriver through his mouth, and then like it holds screwdriver through the fucking hand, it holds, you know, like that kind of shit. Like, we're saving the hostile stuff for you, motherfucker. You know, yeah. Well, we'll show enough of you like doing horrible things to these ladies just to give it its R rating, just to get the point across. But this real shit, it's saved for you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that screwdriver part. This is another part that I thought is actually kind of it's funny and kind of a clever part where it's also like, oh, that fucking sucks. Is when you go back it goes back a little bit farther, but the cannibal guy, you know, Lee takes it and he stabs that screwdriver into his hand on the table. And then the cannibal goes to pull the screwdriver handle off. And he's like, and he pulls it and he rips the handle off, but the screwdriver stays in his hand, and then he realizes he's gonna have to pull his whole hand up. I just thought that was like one of those like cool, like clever, like, oh shit, that's you're fucked.
Yeah, that part, yeah. Or the part when he goes to the cannibal, because he at some point he has to go to because he beats up the cannibals and they're in the hospital, and he goes like, where's he going next? And the cannibal is just kind of like being a stupid idiot and just kind of laughing in his face, like, you don't understand, she always wins, he's the chaddest of the chads, you're gonna, yeah, whatever, you know. And all of a sudden, like,
he's the chaddest of the chads.
and then he's like, oh, you think that's funny? You're smiling. I like smiling. Let me give you a permanent fucking smile. And then like, this is meant to be, I think, kind of a gross thing, but it's one of those like, fuck yeah kind of moments where he just like stretches his face, those cheeks start to split.
Yeah, I know exactly. He's like, I'll fucking give you a permanent smile, you know. It just starts ripping his. So he's gonna pretty much look like the fucking Joker the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, we already was laughing a lot, so. But then when he gets to the bad guy's house or his shack or whatever, and he starts like doing a little bit of torture to him, and the bad guy finally, at some point, he breaks down saying, please, I'm sorry, you know, he's all crying and like bawling. And then the main character is like, I finally broke him. And then the bad guy sticks up, like, has this kind of look on his face, like, is that what you're hoping to hear? Were you hoping I would break, you know? So She's
I'm
like,
the
I
one who
live,
does the breaking.
like, I feel no pain. I know nothing. I know no love. Nothing you can do to me. Like, one of those, like, shit, I guess was all in vain kind of thing. You know what I mean? Not entirely, but then, like, but there's enough of, like, a facade he puts up, though, because he's like, because what he does, he basically puts, like, the rope that holds up the guillotine, ties it basically to the door. So anyone who opens the door brings the guillotine down. And unknown to the bad guy, the good guy called his family to say, hey, he misses you, you know?
Yeah, come visit him and so on like that. You know, so he's got the rope in his mouth so he can't say anything. Fucking Lee puts on the headphones because he's been listening in the whole time because he had this like pill that he gave him at one point. Of course, our villain figured out how to get that pill out of his system, and you're gonna see a nice gross fucking he takes a bunch of like, you know, laxatives or whatever, you know. Of course, kills the fucking guy, the pharmacist there too, because why would he not?
Yeah.
He didn't pay for shit.
Two birds, one stone. You know?
But yes, he's listening to him. The ending's so fucking powerful for the fact it's like he's listening. He's got the headphones there. He hears him there. The parents and like that kid or whatever, like hey, trying to open the door like it's fucking stuck, like, you know, and so on. He's like oh, but he can't say anything because he's got the fucking rope gagged in there and so on. And then they finally fucking jerry-rig that door open. And then that guillotine comes down, chops the head off, and they walk. Which realistically, they probably walk and go, "The fuck did we just walk into?"
Well, it's a couple of things right there because, like, first off, whenever he was using the guillotine on like people earlier, they never showed it. You may have saw like dismembered bodies in a box or whatever, but you never actually saw the action. This, they combined like a prosthetic and an actor CG'd it together to make it look so much more real when that guillotine comes down. So you see the chop and the head flopping in, and then there's like the layer of like, he's like, you can't fucking break me. Fuck you. Nothing you can do will break me. So maybe I can't, but there's one thing. He doesn't say this, but this is the gist of it. And he's like, maybe this will. And that's his family seeing him like this and having his family accidentally kill him. So like the idea of like knowing you're about to be killed by your son or your father or whoever, because they don't know what happens when they open that door. So that right there was just like, dude, that is some fucking cold shit. And that's one of those things where at no point, like I said like a couple times earlier, no point did I have any sympathy for the villain. I did have sympathy for that family though. I did have sympathy for his family, because even the dad, who is just like probably not the
fucking knew it.
You know, well, because the thing is,
cracks the beer open right there.
The thing is, he breaks down too. But there's your version where like the mom and the kid are losing it. He's just lighting up a cigarette, like, and like flicks a little bit, like flips the cigarette into like his son's mouth or whatever, you know.
It's just like, this is where he became. But no, the part's so cool. Just as I said, it just like leaves them all there and says fuck that, walks out, and then he literally tosses his MP3 player or whatever, like he's been listening in the whole time. He's like, don't need this fucking anymore. And it literally just like cuts the credits after that. Like, yeah,
no, he's walking, and then he just starts to like, because the thing is, he's been reserved most of the movie, and then he just starts like bawling and screaming and walking down the road, like he can finally let it out. Part of me feels like maybe that was like hearing the family, even though it was his plan, hearing the family go through it, maybe added some guilt to that possibly. But I think because there's the thing is, he's been pretty stoic. He has like a single tear when they come across the body. Then there's the funeral. He's kind of quietly sobbing over the
wife,
over the grave. There might be one other time where he has like a single tear or something like that. Beyond that, he is like stone faced, like man on the mission. And then there at the end is where he just like, now I can grieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You know, and yeah, just the whole way through, it is like one of those like extremely powerful revenge ones. But at the same time, you kind of think about like how many casualties happen because this guy doesn't finish him off at like the 20-minute mark when he initially finds him. You know, because it's like, I really think like there's like 12 or 13 other people that die because he didn't stop him in the beginning, which is weird because that's where I give it that Batman thing, because it does kind of remind me, like, if you took Batman really seriously and like Jim Gordon's like, dude, if you just fucking finish these guys off, we would not have so many extra casualties, but you just keep letting these guys go back around again. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, but I look forward to it every single time I gotta go punch him in the fucking face. Don't you take this away from me, Jim. Don't you take this away.
I feel like that. Well, there's been multiple stories that expand on one of the Batman that did kill, and there's always, I mean, it's always a writer finding an excuse, but there's always a reason why that inspires someone else to go in, or so they go harder, or whatever. Or, oh, he snapped his neck, and now Joker has like gas that comes out of his neck that Jokerizes Batman. Now he becomes the Batman who laughs, or some bullshit, you know. So there's always like something, and I actually like that story, but you know, there's always something like that to explain why it happens. But not to be, well, technically, according to issue 583, it came out in March, you know, whatever, you know. It's kind of more of like a it's not meant, the main character is not meant to be right. He's meant to be, it's meant to be like a kind of a thing where you look at the camera. This could be the worst thing in the world, but if done right, it can be this movie, where it turns the camera back like, don't you feel kind of bad? Like, yeah, but it was a pretty good fucking movie. Because the thing is, like, you kind of root for him, being like, you root for him, like, seeing him like beat the fuck out of these serial killers, and like just like, you know, like slash him up and like stab the screwdriver through his fucking mouth. And if you saw this bad guy doing that to somebody, you'd be like, oh no, fuck, you know. But then by the time you get to him doing it, you're like, yes, you know. But then the cost it comes at, which is like, could have got this done a lot fucking quicker, but then we wouldn't have our movie. And that's the thing. That's what makes the guy, the main character, even though he's the good guy, it makes him like, he wasn't doing it to be, he was being careless, but he wasn't being like malicious towards him. He wasn't, he just didn't think, he didn't realize who he had. He thought he had like another cowardly criminal. He didn't realize he had like a super assassin serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it's also the other one too, because it's kind of mentioned from some of the other cops. It's that, like, it's almost like he kind of broke, so he's sort of gone crazy too, and it has that weird parallel thing, like, you know, it's like almost like he's, you know, walking that thin line, you know, in a similar way next to him. I mean, obviously he's just only brutalizing this dude, but like that kind of thing. It's like, it's almost like he has the mission in mind. And even though for some reason he has all this technology, he's got the GPS, he has the listening and thing, he always seems to show up late to where this guy's just killed somebody at, you know, like many a time be like dude, you knew where he was, be like, you know, yeah, well, I was listening to him murder that guy at the fucking pharmacy. Like, I could have walked in, but, you know.
Well, that was also a different time. That was
the Snickers bar. Well, that might have been a little bit late, but there's a couple of those ones like that where like
the Snicker bar got caught in the fucking door and it got jammed, and there you go. Snickers did it again.
You know, so it's like one of those ones where there's a couple times where it's just like, he's like, I know he's listening in, but like he's just obviously like a little bit farther. He's not as close as you think he would be.
Well, I feel like that's the thing. He underestimates him, because he's like, okay, I just sent him to the hospital. He's not already. Is he raping someone at the hospital right now? What the fuck? I didn't know he was this fucking crazy. Okay, all right, shit, I'll go there now, you know. And then, you know, he's like, okay, he's knocked out, and then like his boy says to him like, hey man, so is the only way how the GPS you like stuck down his throat working? He's like, shut the fuck up, he's sleeping, what the fuck are we doing here, you know? And then like he's like, dude gets up, he snaps out of it, you know. And then like, oh shit, he was awake. Oh, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Oh fuck, you know. So just kind of like, and so then he puts the thing back on, and then he's just like, that's where he says, oh hey, you listening? Good news. Like, oh shit, you know. So it's just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, that's the thing, is that this guy is always kind of like one step ahead, and he's way more wittier and way more intelligent than anyone would think. And also the fact that he can survive shit just over and over and over again and keep on going.
Well, he's also just this very like, something I appreciate about him is they don't make him like cool. They make him like this fucking like grody ass dog out in the street that's just basically like just on pure kind of instincts, more or less, and just kind of like shambles from kill to kill, more or less. He's not like some suave. He's not like Vega or some shit like that. He's from like Street Fighter. He's just this. Has no morals. Who knows if the last time he even fucking bathed?
Doesn't matter. I mean, that's just who he is,
Exactly. And like the nicest thing he's wearing is like a red plaid that he had to change because the other thing he was wearing was covered in blood and had a bunch of stab marks in it. So he has this red plaid that he got from the cannibal, and then that eventually gets fucked up too, of course.
Yeah, the whole way through. But yeah, no. This is one of those movies though that I think it is definitely a very, very interesting one. And, I mean, if you like those kind of serial killer movies and so on like that, which ironically is actually one of my least favorite genres of stuff when I think about it, though, because like mostly that murder mystery type stuff is, if I had to say what my least favorite movie or story genre, that's kind of what it is. And I know this is kind of in a similar ballpark to that. Yet this movie, I think, has a little bit more variety going on to it that makes it work, I guess, a little bit more in my favor, I guess. Because it's got the action, it's got the revenge, it's got, even martial arts type stuff in it and so on like that, just to kind of spice it up over your standard, like, Law and Order type story.
Well, it has the aesthetics of that, but it doesn't go, story-wise, doesn't go by that. Not even Law and Order, more of like probably like a Jeffrey Dahmer serial killer kind of thing, but goes more in like spiced up with like Korean style action.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of it. It's got that moviness to it that makes it a little bit more interesting than like your standard. Because mostly, as I said, like if they're those kind of like murder mystery movies or even serial killer movies, it's kind of weird. Like that's like those ones where it's like mostly I'm like I don't care that much about that. But this one's like one of those few ones that kind of works, or at least I find more interesting. And oddly, in a movie sense, enjoyable, where you're like, okay, I could watch through this, and it's just a very interesting tale the whole way through, and it's not just one of those ones where you're like, we're just watching people get murdered for murder's sake or something like that, And it sounds weird because then it's like, I can watch something like slasher movies, but slasher movies I don't feel is the same thing as a murder mystery movie. I know it that might seem like it's close, but it's almost like, well, there's other things going on. And a lot of times in a slasher movie, there's more of almost like you would say a paranormal aspect to the fact that like these guys either have powers or they come back from the dead or, something of that nature. And ironically, mostly in slasher movies, you cheer more for the slasher than you do the people. You're like, I want to see fucking like where Jason's going with this one.
Yeah, I don't see. I question the person who's cheering for the bad guy in this one. I question that guy.
Yeah, that would be a weird one. You know who is? Then he's probably the cannibal like guy. You got to wonder. Yeah, okay. Is he one of these part of the Korean society of serial killers? That happens to be a lot of them, just in like a small radius.
All live in a cul-de-sac together.
They got like a fucking network like John Wick. Yeah. Something they go to.
Nah, I gotta. Yeah, no.
They get a fucking phone call for a new job.
They have their own currency.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this is one of those ones too. It also kind of reminds me of like kind of how good of a director fucking Kim Jee-Woon is though, because it's like one of those ones like. I was kind of looking through his stuff. I've really only actually watched I think 4 of his movies, but like every single one of them is very, very good, which makes me really want to go out and check out some more of them.
What was that anime that you and I didn't hear the episode yet, but I think it was you and Josh just did like an anime one a little bit ago.
The Jinro, which it was one of those ones that was made by that same animation company that did Ghost in the Shell and Akira and whatnot.
I'm pretty sure that this guy directed the adaptation to that, a live action adaptation.
Well, there's 2 live action movies that come before that Jinro one that tie into it, but I mean, it could be, except for like he's Korean and they're Japanese. I know that sounds like a strange one, but
I know, but they could have sold him the rights to make it for. They're like, wait, where do you think you're going with that? Where do you think you're going with that?
So are you Japanese
it's
or are
called
you
something
Chinese?
else, but
The Wolf
I think
Brigade?
it's
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
yeah.
That sure, yeah, it is. It's a live action adaptation of that. So that's that didn't pop up on the Wikipedia when I was looking up the other one.
This was apparently, I didn't see it, but this was apparently his first like bad reviewed movie. But I wouldn't mind checking it out still. Like apparently they made it like Korea instead of Japan, which makes sense because they're just like for their audience and all that. But yeah.
Well, that and it looks like it's a futuristic movie where I think the Jinro one, even though it didn't give a whole lot of details like in the movie itself, but of course it was a manga and all sorts of other stuff. I think it took place in 1950 because the concept of that movie was that Germany won World War II, so they occupied Japan. Because I remember I was watching the movie, I'm like, boy, everybody's driving around in a Volkswagen here in Japan. Is that normal? Like, I was like trying to put that together, and then like everybody had like MP40s and so on like that. I'm like, the hell's going on here? Like, I was like, so what's up all this German stuff? And they're like talking about Little Red Riding Hood the whole time. And I was like, it's very German oriented Japan, and then it's like, oh, that's where that makes sense. But I had to kind of read about that. I don't think it really explained in the movie, or at least if it did, not as much. But I'm actually kind of interested now in checking out that Il Lang, the Wolf Brigade one now. As I said, there's a bunch of his other movies. I mean, I wouldn't mind sitting down and literally watching all these other ones that I know I've not watched.
He has one that's called, he has a lot of movies I haven't seen. I was curious about, there's one called The Foul King, which is apparently a dramatic comedy about like a Korean wrestler.
Oh, that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, because I think a lot of his movies, they sort of range between, I think, like horror movies, action movies, and the comedies. Action comedies, I guess, but...
Well, I mean, you watch, like, I'll be honest, because you watch The Good, the Bad, the Weird, and, like, that is such a fun time at the movies. Like, what you doing next? I Saw the Devil. Like,
that's pretty fun,
really,
too.
yeah, like, this one's really different from the last one. A Bittersweet Life, though, came before Good, Bad, the Weird, and that one, Bittersweet Life, that was one I wanted to do before we did. Bittersweet Life is one I really wanted to do, but I think we were having trouble finding a copy of it for you. Not to put you on the spot or anything, but...
I think I actually have that one on DVD, to tell you the truth.
Oh shit, maybe we can do that one later, and we don't have to do it like next week or nothing because Superman.
I don't think I've watched
it,
but I literally think I could be making that up, but I think I do have it. But
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it being one of his best.
Yeah, but as I said, I wouldn't mind watching more of those in the future because, yeah, as I said, it's just
best of the ones I've seen, I should say.
This movie just reminded me of just how much I like that. Well, it's even like The Last Stand. I think The Last Stand is the best modern day Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You know, I think it's so fucking dialed in.
I need to watch it again. At the time, I was disappointed because I just got into this director, and then like for the first half of the movie, it's kind of slow and kind of cheesy, but that's probably intentional. And then you get to all the action at the end, which is all super awesome. And I remember the bad guy being kind of like, fuck this guy. But I might need to watch The Last Stand again because I remember the action being really cool. And I like the concept. So I have to give that one a second shot.
Yeah, because I thought about it. I'm like literally like, and I say like modern Arnold Schwarzenegger being pretty much everything past Terminator 3, pretty much after he becomes back from governor. Yeah, that one pretty darn good. You know, the other one that's pretty good too is I'm just drawing a blank on that right now too. The one he did with the director of Fury.
He did something with Fury. For some reason I'm drunk. Oh, I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about a Kim Jee-Woon for a second. Yeah.
Oh no! I was talking about just the Arnold Schwarzenegger ones. But that Last Stand one, I think I do actually think that one's pretty darn fun and action packed, and yeah, it's a good mixed match of that. And I think that's like, I want to say that was like his one and done American movie that he ever made, and then like I don't know if he ever kind of came back and did anymore. They're like you got your fucking chance.
I don't think that movie did too good, but I want to blame him.
Yeah, that was that time. Well, it's still that time period where it's like, yeah, you're not gonna get as much, but yeah, everything about his movies are always fun. They're always interesting. Just like literally with I Saw the Devil, it's one of those movies. It's just a super interesting revenge flick, if anything, and just so well made. Definitely not for everybody. is 100%. You know, you would not just be like, hey, movie night, guess what we're watching? You know, you have to almost have filmmaker people and people that are kind of hardcore, and you know, they can handle a story and so on like that.
Yeah, it's like earlier we were talking about like movies, like going back, like, you know, movies that you could not recommend to everybody. Would I feel more comfortable recommending this or Ninja Scroll to like someone who's not into either of that kind of shit? I think I would go maybe. Well, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about maybe this, because this has more of an emotional resonance and connection. But at the same time, I feel like Ninja Scroll is probably easier to watch, like violent wise. And granted, it's all animated, but still, like just like, you know, people have more of a fighting chance in that one too. But yeah, no, like maybe not the best comparison there, but like, yeah, this is definitely not a movie you can recommend to everybody. There's a lot of people, some people listening right now, maybe this movie's not for you, because trust me, it is. I'm not gonna lie, like I said, when I first watched this movie, it was at a point where I didn't watch a lot of horror movies, and I didn't really know what I was signing up for. I thought for a minute, is this gonna be some kind of hostile shit? Because I don't like torture porn. So the thing is, when he has the girl at the beginning and stops, and he's holding his knife to her arm, measuring it out or whatever, I'm like, I paused it and I kind of paced across my room for a minute, like, oh fuck, okay, I did not know it was gonna be this kind of movie. All right, okay, let's tough it out, let's see what happens, and play it. I'm like, okay, we're cutting away. So giving people a heads up of what this movie, you know, pretty dark material, but pretty fantastic dark, film.
But it's not as, it could be more intense, I guess, is, you know.
It's
so
not
it's like
Serbian film.
Yeah, I've definitely seen more intense films. I feel this one's like a little bit easier to kind of you know, watch comparatively to the other things, you know. The brutality is done in a sense artistically, I guess you would sort of say, is the you know, the kind of, so it flows in the sense the most brutal stuff is like the stuff that you want to see, because you're like, yeah, fuck that guy, he's gonna get what he deserves, you know.
Technically, I guess even say something like Rambo 4 might be more violent, possibly.
Yeah, realistically.
But I guess there's something about like someone getting blown away with a minigun and then seeing like someone defenselessly screaming for like mercy while they're getting stabbed, or like, you know, like their skin peeled or something like that. There's something more that hits me different, you know, about that around those two. So there's more violent movies, and like, yeah, it's not as like, I'd say it's a really fucked up movie. And I said for a second, you know, it's not like something like Serbian, like that movie's probably like more fucked up, but at the exact same time, this movie's good. And this movie's like just not trying to like piss you off, or it's trying to make you uncomfortable, but it's also trying to tell you an actual story at the exact same time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it too. It actually has a purpose, and I feel like it has like a resolution, because sometimes there's some movies where like they just feel like it was just trying to be dark and fucked up, you know, and that's always the ones like, you gotta give me a little
like
bit of
Human
reason.
Centipede or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, you guys got to give me a reason why we're here for this, and this one has a reason the whole time, and I think that's what makes it work, you know. Everything's there to carry the movie forward, and not just to be like, hey, check out like what, you know, Bob over at like fucking makeup can do, you know. As I said, and it's like, and this comes from somebody who generally wants more gore in their movies. Like, it bums me out when I hear about movies like, yeah, we had to cut it down because it was an NC-17. You're like, you fucking telling me this could have been like an extended cut? Like, where's my extended cut of this movie? You know, like, because that happens a lot, where it's like a lot of more like, you know, 80s and 90s movies where you realize it's like, oh, they had actually a lot more violence in there and they had to pull it out. You're like, well, that's a bummer, you know. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's just got to have a purpose of what it's doing, you know, to make the story go forward and so on like that. I mean, I want to see some cool shit, you know, but yeah, as I said, this one I feel delivers on all fronts.
Yeah, no, I love this movie, but I can't recommend it to everybody. So if you got a high tolerance for violence and you don't mind fucked up shit for the sake of story, not just for the sake of fucked up shit, then give it a chance. Also clear your day, because it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, that was the thing I kind of forgot. I forgot how long this movie was. I was like, oh shit, this is a little bit long.
It's not boring though. It goes by. No. I feel like this movie breezes by.
No, because it's weird, because I watched it in like 3 parts, but every single time I sat down, like I was fucking engaged the whole way through. It's like you get sucked into it. You're like, oh, I guess I have to press pause here, you know, or something like that. But like, it's never like you're just like, okay, when am I gonna fucking get here? Is that dinosaur gonna fucking eat that family? Oh no, it's not. Oh shit. Well, let me just wait this out then. I just know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if only the bad guy of this movie got to the like boyfriend before that T-Rex did, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just, even if you just stay by, like, we'll let you go. Like no, this is a free one on us. We'll all watch. The dad's like, he's like, can I join in? Got some things to say about this kid. I don't know if I want my daughter, like, you know, being with this guy. I don't know what kind of lifestyle she's going to be with. Clearly, I don't know how she's even going to college with a guy like this.
I wish I saw this movie. That way I can, like, you know, jump in on the jokes, but I just gotta like nod and go. I'm like, yeah.
But check out I Saw the Devil. It's a good fun one. It's a good, cool movie, you know, that has interesting concepts in it. So parts are fun. Parts are funny in, you know, more ways than you'd think. But beyond all that good stuff, this is Old Man Orange 666. You know, and I'm Spencer Scott Holmes, and we'll see you some other time.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. See you later.